Just one last thing about Zimmerman. Wasn't it the case that Zimmerman, that he did have a gun, and that one of his arguments that he was also afraid that Martin was going to get his gun, because I think he claimed that Martin was hitting him against the sidewalk. Do you recall what? I'll look at it. I'll double check that myself.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm very familiar with the case. I watched every minute of the trial and did legal analysis every day. So what Zimmerman's statements were, not a trial, of course. Zimmerman didn't testify at trial, but he made a lot of statements on video to various law enforcement immediately after the event. And how he described things was, first, he's pinned on his back with Trayvon Martin atop him, beating him into the sidewalk. And that's not just Zimmerman, by the way. There was eyewitness testimony at trial by people who peeked out of their condos and saw this happening. So that's really incontestable. And that while he was on his back, his gun in its holster became visible to Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin said he was going to take the gun and kill Zimmerman with it. Of course, the only evidence of that is Zimmerman. But you know, there's no counter evidence. So a jury ultimately has to go with what they're facing. And frankly, you don't even really need that for Zimmerman to be justified in self-defense. He was getting beat in the head with the back of his head against the sidewalk. They had testimony at trial by medical experts that that's a deadly force attack. That's an attack readily capable of causing death or serious bodily injury, which is the threshold necessary to defend yourself with a gun. Right.
Because that's also one of the claims by Rittenhouse's lawyers, that Rosenbaum in particular, and at least one of the other guys was trying to get Rittenhouse's gun and use it.
That's the threat purported by the defense in the case of Rosenbaum, because Rosenbaum was, I mean, we say he's unarmed. Of course, no one's unarmed, right? We all have fists and feet and stuff. Right. So, and you can obviously kill someone with fists. I mean, more people are killed with fists every year in the United States than are killed with rifles by a large margin. But the basic argument by the defense here is that the threat presented by Rosenbaum was that he was seeking to seize Rittenhouse's gun, which is really no different than if Rosenbaum had been picking up his own gun off a table. In fact, it's worse because he's simultaneously arming himself while he's disarming Rittenhouse. So it's even worse than if Rosenbaum were just picking up his own gun. But in the case of Rosenbaum, that's the argument, that Rosenbaum was going to, in effect, arm himself with Rittenhouse's gun. With respect to the Huber and Grosskreutz, both of them explicitly attacked Rittenhouse with deadly weapons. I mean, you may not think of a skateboard as a deadly weapon, but I can assure you, if someone strikes you in the head with a skateboard, it's readily capable of causing death or serious bodily injury. And of course, Grosskreutz, he ran up to Rittenhouse with a gun, with a Glock in his hand.
Yep, and stepped forward towards him with the gun. I think it was the gun in his left hand. I forget, but yeah, you could see the gun in the video pretty clearly. Yeah.
And of course, there were others attacking. So there was a gentleman who jumped up and stomped on Rittenhouse with both feet. Whether that's a deadly force attack, I would argue it is. I mean, none of us would want to be subject to that kind of attack. It could readily cause serious bodily injury. But in any case, that person's not involved in the charges here, so we need not address it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, Andrew, thank you so much. That's extremely helpful. I can't tell you how helpful that is. And so I'm going to use some of this stuff. I really appreciate it.